mutual friend said, talk to this person. They're doing great on Instagram. They're selling hundreds and thousands of cupcakes. They were hired to make cupcakes for Obama's 40th birthday. This is what she said to me. She said, what is Malaysian food and do I care? She said, and it was very blunt, but I appreciated it because there was a lesson in that for me, right? Do they care? It was sobering. And I realized then the biggest challenge for me starting this business was it was my job to educate the consumer.
Why, hello there, food lovers, and welcome to The Hungry Immigrant. I'm your host, Abang Brian, a chef, food researcher, reality TV star, and a guy who believes that every dish tells a story. This is where we uncover the stories behind the flavors, the people shaping our culinary world, and the dishes that bring us all together. From hidden street stalls to Michelin-starred kitchens, we dive into tastes, traditions, and untold stories of food across borders. So grab a seat, bring your appetite, and let's feast on culture, one bite at a time. They told her sambal wasn't Malaysian enough. That her sambal didn't count because it wasn't made on Malaysian soil. That her story didn't matter because it didn't fit their idea of authentic. But here's the thing about authenticity. It does not need anyone's permission. In this episode of The Hungry Immigrant, we sit down with Auria, the woman behind Auria's Malaysian kitchen, who has been dismissed by trade officials, ignored by investors, and told to stay small. Instead, she built a brand from a Brooklyn kitchen that's now on the shelves in stores all across America. This isn't just about sambal. It's about who gets to define our culture and the truth that no one gets to erase us. Okay, so we're back on another episode of The Hungry Immigrant. This time around, I am in New York, baby! And I managed to find someone who is Malaysian. And she was recommended actually by a very renowned chef. Her name is Chef Pilar Verdes. And she will be a guest soon, I hope, because she's actually in the midst of producing her next cookbook. Yeah. But so big shout out to Chef Pilar for the recommendation. And I am very, very pleased to be welcomed into a home that smells like belacan. Thank you, Auria, for welcoming us to your beautiful home in Brooklyn.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you so much for cooking all the food. And I feel like I'm back home because as soon as I came out from the cab, I saw this person. She's like, hi, yeah. I was like, oh my God, this is home. And then when I walked in, it looks like really fancy. But then my nose smelled something. And I was like, oh my God, I'm back home. So this is going to be a little bit different. I think this is one of the first few episodes that we're going to do it over a meal. So we're just going to be very santai, as we say in Malaysia, really chill.
Yeah.
We're going to have a meal. And she made us so many things. But first of all, how are you?
I'm great. It's Wednesday. It's what I like to call hump day. It's usually a difficult day in the week because you've done 2 days and you still have 2 full days to go. And usually a hump day meal is something really simple. It's like for my daughter, it's usually I steam some frozen dumplings and that's dinner. But we had very esteemed guests coming in. So I had to pull out all the stops. But, my favorite thing to do is feed folks. And my most favorite thing to do is feed folks Malaysian food.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell me, what do we have here?
So we have, of course, rice because Malaysians eat rice.
No, because rice is alive.
Yes. The Malaysian saying, kalau tiada beras, kerja tak deras. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Okay.
The translation is, if there's no rice, there is no...
The work is not...
It's not done properly.
Yes,
there's no
correct.
To the work.
That's right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so tell me.
So this rice, I made beef rendang, which is a dish that I learned from my mom, who used to cook it in a giant wok over a charcoal fire in our backyard back home. I learned that from her. And I love making that for people because it has an Indonesian origin, but the Indonesians from Minangkabau came to my home state, which is Negeri Sembilan. And so we have that culture too. And then I have some blanched broccoli. It's the simplest thing with crispy garlic. It's my daughter's favorite thing is crispy garlic. Put crispy garlic on any vegetable, she'll house it. And then I have a cold cucumber salad, which is made with my sambal. One of the sambals that I make is the spicy component in this. And then I have crispy ikan bilis with peanuts on the side.
Like curry leaves.
Curry leaves and chilies.
So like this is like the most basic thing, but in America, this for people who drink.
Yeah.
It's perfect beer food.
I know. Yes. And that's how I've been serving it. I've been serving it as a beer snack.
But anchovies in America is expensive. That's why they don't have it in bars.
I bring them back from Malaysia.
So let's have some food while we...
Okay.
Can I pass you some broccoli?
Yes, please. I'm very grateful that my husband is American, but he loves Malaysian food.
Okay.
You know, there are husbands who get mad when the wives cook with belacan. You know that?
Yeah, I know.
And the wives are like, oh, I can't cook with belacan in my house because my husband gets mad. You know, belacan is, I like to think of it as the stinkiest food ingredient known to man.
So belacan, which is shrimp paste, fermented shrimp paste.
Yes, it's very, very pungent. And my people love it, and I'm so grateful for that because if they didn't, I wouldn't be able to cook with it as much as I do. And Malaysian food, you know, it has that nice funk, that Southeast Asian funk that you don't know what it is. But
It's like the fish sauce for the Thais and the Vietnamese people,
however,
right?
Brian, don't you think that fermented shrimp paste is way more pungent than fish sauce? Yeah.
But if you know how it's made...
Yes.
Okay, so I've not had rendang for so long.
Okay.
The first thing I want to ask you is, you use kaffir lime?
Yes.
Okay, can you... I can't find turmeric leaf here.
I'm going to say this, but you didn't hear me say it. I bring a lot of things back home from Malaysia.
Okay. I love it.
Good.
I love it.
Good. No pressure, right? Cooking for Malaysian celebrity chef. None whatsoever.
It's spicy enough.
Yeah.
It's I can taste the karise, which is the toasted coconut,
Yes.
roasted coconut paste. It's melt in your mouth, but not mushy.
Yes.
So a lot of people sometimes you tend to overcook it and it becomes too mushy.
Yes.
And of course the spice paste is there.
Handmade at home, by the way. Yes. Yeah.
Do you use galangal?
Of course. Yeah.
That's what I was saying. There's galangal in this.
Yes. Yes. Mesti ada. If you don't have, so I'm going home in 2 weeks for our cousin's wedding. And I was talking to my mom on the phone yesterday. I said, Mom, what do you want me to cook when I come home? She goes, I want you to make beef rendang. I'm like, seriously? I'm like, there's beef rendang everywhere in Malaysia. I said, why don't I make you a nice pasta with cheese and, you know, Italian sausage? She goes, no. I want the beef rendang. I learned it from her. I think it's fair to say that I'm probably the only one that will carry on that tradition from her.
Oh, okay.
So now, obviously, you can tell we're Indian. My mother's family is from Sri Lanka. Do we have rendang in our heritage? No, we don't. But my mom was headmistress at a girls' school.
Yeah.
She loved to cook, and what she would do is she would learn how to make dishes from the teachers at her school. So there was a teacher in her school called Cikgu Sauda. She was...
Hi, Cikgu Sauda.
Yeah, she was a Minangkabau heritage, and she came to our house and she taught Mom how to make the really authentic rendang from Indonesia. And so that's what we have. Now, it's important to me to keep this going.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but I know it originates from different places, but the Malaysian rendang is different from the Indonesian rendang altogether. There are different elements that even rendang itself in Malaysia, whether it comes from Perak, which is rendang tok, whether it comes from the south. In the south, we don't use spices.
We don't use spices either.
Some they use.
It's all aromatic. Oh yeah, we don't use.
There are different rendangs altogether. That's why I think this is the thing that's interesting about Malaysia because it blends some of the Indian culture when we use spices and the Nusantara or the Indonesian ingredients, right?
Yeah.
But before we go any further, I'm really enjoying this because I think a perfect Malaysian plate is this.
Yeah.
Because you have the savoriness of the beef.
Yeah.
And then you have the freshness of the cucumber salad, and then you get the crunchiness. So it's like people think that Malaysian food is just spice paste.
No,
and that's it.
no.
If you go back to it, even like Hainanese chicken rice,
Yeah.
there's the crunchiness of the beef sprouts, the softness of the chicken skin, right? So there's texture, there's
flavor, all of the above, and the flavors are so many layers. The unctuousness of the chicken skin, right, and then the sesame oil soy sauce combination. Even the garnish, the cilantro, is part of that whole experience, right? Yeah. And then, of course, it has its very particular chili sauce that is made just for chicken rice. And if you go somewhere and you order chicken rice and it doesn't come with that, I think as a Malaysian, you're already disappointed. Yeah, that's right. You have to have it,
But before we go any further, everyone's like, these people are just enjoying themselves eating and talking about God knows what. First and foremost, let's start with Auria.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who is Auria? Because obviously you are very famous for Auria's Malaysian Kitchen.
Yeah.
Your website, and you have sambals, you have spice blends and stuff like that. So pitch to me Auria's Malaysia Kitchen in 1 minute.
So Auria's Malaysian Kitchen, I founded in 2013. At the time, there was no Malaysian brand in the U.S. making anything Malaysian. And so it was either very foolish or very brave to start a brand selling food items that no one had ever heard of in the U.S. But I couldn't find sambal in the sambal that I grew up with in the stores. And I thought maybe somebody else would want this as well. So, try selling food items that no one's ever heard of before. It's a fun endeavor. It's not easy, but it is a lot of talking to people about what it is and how you use it and how it's made and being basically an ambassador for Malaysian food in the U.S. Still, in 2025, Malaysian food is very, very underrepresented here in the U.S. Part of that is because the population of Malaysians here in the U.S. is very low. Yeah. If you compare it to Koreans, Thais, Japanese, Indians, any other ethnic group, there are not many Malaysians here in the U.S. But I think our food deserves that representation, and I guess I nominated myself to be that person. Auria's Malaysian Kitchen makes authentic, traditional, small batch, clean ingredients, clean label, no nonsense ingredients, no chemicals that you can't pronounce. Why? Because that's how my mother cooked in her kitchen. Does your mother put chemicals in her food in her kitchen? No, she doesn't. Neither did mine, and neither do I. There's not a single additive or whatever in our jars. The thing I love most about my business is that it reaches people from so many backgrounds. Either it's new to them, and they're discovering something and they go, why have I never had this before? Yeah. Or it's nostalgic and takes them home to their childhood, their culture, their background. And I love that connection.
Right. Yeah. So your Instagram handle is the Sambal Lady, right? Yeah. I talk about it all the time with different people, whether Malaysians or non-Malaysians, or sometimes I give the definition. What is a sambal? Dear Sambal Lady.
To the Sambal Lady, sambal is ubiquitous in Asia, in Southeast Asia. There's sambal in India, in Sri Lanka, in Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam. And it might be called a different thing, but it's all sambal. The basis of sambal is a chili paste, right? Is the very basic sambal. And then you have a wide variety of different versions of it, flavored with either fermented shrimp paste or in our green sambal, lime leaves, makrut lime leaves, or lemongrass, or just lime. So the basis of sambal is a chili paste, and then you can do whatever you want with it. And it depends on your region, where you grew up, what was available, what was growing in the ground that was flavorful, that you could add to your chilies to make it pop, to make it have a personality. That is sambal.
Okay, now the Sambal Lady. Let's backtrack a little bit. Yeah. I remember reading somewhere that you were first in Berkeley. That's how you arrived in the US.
Yes.
So how did Seremban girl, Berkeley, Sambal Lady?
Okay.
How did that happen?
Okay, so Saraman girl has played the piano since she was 4 years old.
Right.
I was classically trained. I have a classical background. In my mid-teens, 15, 16, I was totally obsessed with my instrument. I was playing the piano 5-6 hours a day. It was my entire life. My piano teacher at the time had a plan for me. She was going to send me to a conservatory in Europe, and I was going to continue on that trajectory. But as most teenagers do, I rebelled against that. And I'm like, I'm not going to Europe and going to some stuffy conservatory. I'm going to America, to Berkeley, and I'm going to study film scoring. And at Berkeley, I had a plan. I was going to go back to Malaysia and start a jingle house, which is a company that makes music for TV commercials. Because at the time, there was only one in all of Asia. And so I saw an opportunity. Even at that age, I was probably 20. I saw an opportunity and I was going to go. But I met a guy, got married, moved to New York, got a job. And now it's 30 years later. Fast forward. I had my own jingle house. We made music for TV commercials for all the biggest brands in the world. Budweiser, American Express, MasterCard, McDonald's, Burger King, 7-Up, Dr. Pepper, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, everybody. We made music for everybody. But in 2008, the economy crashed. And so that business changed a lot. When I started working in that business in 1995, we had huge recording studios and the biggest names in the recording industry walking in and out of our offices every day. Musicians, singers, you name it, they were coming in and out every day. And the budgets were there to sustain that business. But in 2008, it crashed. And then people were making music on a laptop.
Right.
So when the economy came back, the people making music on a laptop continued to get the business, and it changed. So I had a recording studio in Manhattan. I closed it down, and I brought the entire contents of that studio back home. It's upstairs on the third floor.
Wow.
And I didn't know what I was doing. And my husband started saying to me, do food, do food. I said, I don't know what that means. I've been a musician my whole life. Yeah. That was my identity. I am a musician. I make music. I hang out with musicians. It's my whole life. He said, do food. And I really didn't know where to start. He was reading a weekly column in the New York Press. It was an old newspaper that's gone now. Yeah. It was called the New York Press, and it was a weekly column written by Josh Bernstein. Okay. And this guy, incredible human being, used to take folks on food adventures in New York City. So he would say something like, the ticket is $45. Buy the ticket and meet me at the 125th Street train station in Harlem on your bicycle. Mm-hmm. And then he would take them up to the Bronx, to an abandoned church backyard where a guy was doing barbecue. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine? That must have been the best barbecue ever. This guy was doing, from his heart, barbecue in the backyard that Josh had found. So he sits right to this guy and see what he says. And of course, as any wife does when her husband gives her instructions, I rolled my eyes. And then I emailed him, and I thought I would never hear from him. And I basically said, I'm a Malaysian woman. I want to do food, but I don't know what that means. He wrote me right back. I thought he would never write me back. And he said, how many people can you have in your house for dinner? At the time, we were already here in the house. Yeah. I said, I don't know, 18, 20. He said, pick a date. I'll bring 20 people to your house. You'll charge them $45 each. It'll be BYOB because it's illegal for you to serve alcohol. And I'll bring people to your house for dinner. And that's how we started. Getting close to the date, he would be emailing me, can I bring 22 people? Can I bring 24 people? And then next thing you know, we had a full house. Mm-hmm. My heart was in my throat because even though I had cooked my whole life, and I do cook everywhere I go. Like, I'll be invited to people's houses for meals. I will always bring something. Right. I travel to Puerto Rico, to San Francisco, to wherever. I bring my spices in a little bag, right. A little Ziploc bag, and my spices. I show up and I cook. And the cooking was like currency. When I cooked for people, they said, you can come back anytime. Come back anytime, because it was food that they had never tasted before. Yeah. Malaysian curries, rendang, minds were blown. Yeah. And so even though I had done that my whole life, when these 26 people came to my house for dinner, I have never been paid to cook before.
Right.
And when you are being paid to cook, the pressure, oh my God, I was hardly standing up. But my friends, God, I love my friends. They were so supportive. They were like, Auria, can we help you? Can we help you? Can we help you? They came, they set up tables, white tablecloths. They had pitchers of water. They were going around pouring water. It was like we were playing a restaurant.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and we had a great time. And I didn't expect it of him, but he wrote about me in the New York press.
Wow.
And these food writer people, they kind of stick together.
Yeah.
So he brought somebody from Time Out New York, from New York Times, from all his friends, you know?
Like you're on
So,
one after
yeah, and the next thing you know, I have a business. Right. So then how the Sambal Lady came from that is when you're cooking like this for people, you actually physically have to be there and be a part of the goings on. And I realized that had X amount of reach.
Right.
And the reach that I wanted to have was much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And so one day, it was February 2013, freezing cold outside. I was miserable. I'm talking to my mom on the phone. She goes, you are missing home. I'm like, yeah, I miss home so bad. She goes, why don't you make this sambal that I used to make for you guys when you were little? And I said, how do I do that? Over the phone, she goes, you do this, you add this, you get garlic, you get chilies, you get belacan, na. I made the jar of sambal. It was a 12-ounce jar, big jar. It's like that old peanut butter jar full of sambal. And I was so proud of myself. And I put it in the fridge and I thought, this is going to last me for 4 months. It lasted a week because my husband found it and polished it off. So, A, I was so mad at him. B, I realized I was going to have to make a lot more sambal.
So this became the business that now it's 100% made in the US.
Yes.
And it's distributed.
Yes.
Where is it distributed?
It's, we've been in business for 11 years. And by that metric, we're still small compared to some of our peers. But you can't compare businesses anyway. How I do business is how I do it.
Yeah.
We're in about 100 independent grocers around the country.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's fun. I'm having a good time.
I'm very happy for you, but we're going to talk further about the challenges that you faced in just a bit.
Yeah.
But this is a segment that I'm very interested to bring to you. At The Hungry Immigrant, we got this segment called the Sambal Survey. For those people who are joining us for the first time, the Sambal Survey is a segment in the show where I travel around the world with 3 different sambals. 1 made by me and 2 made by somebody else, right? Either a nasi lemak chain that is very famous in Malaysia or some influencers who are very popular for the sambals as well. So it's not about putting anyone down. It's just to make the show a little more fun. And I just want to see that, whether my sambal stands up against those other sambals. So this is a sambal survey, and I want the Sambal Lady to tell me which is her favorite sambal.
Wait, can I take a picture of
Yes, you can.
Oh my God. Sambal is life, babe. And this one I think might be a little sweet. Am I right? Oh, you don't want to say anything.
I know how you can tell.
You know how I can tell?
The color?
Well, let's see. It looks amazing, by the way. Looks amazing. Okay.
So what is a perfect sambal to you?
When it comes to sambals, we cannot speak in absolutes. We cannot. Okay, because there are a million sambals.
Right.
Yeah.
So in total fairness, I will let you know that all are sambal Tumis.
Okay.
There's only one that does not have anchovies.
Okay, please explain what sambal tumis is.
So sambal Tumis, the word Tumis basically is to saute in our language, right? Sambal Tumis is usually the one that, the most basic, it's chili paste, garlic, onion. Some people put ginger, some people don't put ginger. You have it with nasi lemak, which is our national dish, the coconut rice. But so as long as you have that base and it is cooked until the chili oil separates, pecah minyak, I would call that a sambal Tumis.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct, cikgu? Teacher?
Okay, that's very good. Number 2 is very good. I'm eating with a bit of rice because you need something, you know?
Yeah. Usually I do serve it with the rice. I learned that over a lot of episodes where my guests will always complain, why no rice? Why no rice?
Okay, here we go. Very hard to choose. But my choice is between 2 and 3.
Mm.
Now, they're very different. I like... Wow. This one is so nice. Number 3.
Mm.
There's a freshness, even though it's Sambal Tumis, that means cooked.
Yeah.
Cooked. You know, in Malay, they say tumis.
Yeah.
So you cook it on a low flame until the rawness comes out, is gone. Well, I will qualify it by saying that I think they have different uses.
Yeah.
You can use them in different ways, in different applications. There's a freshness in that number 3 that is just so nice.
Because the second and third one is actually with anchovies. The other one is not. It's just a plain sambal.
Yeah.
So it's either between the second and third.
It's between second and third, and I'm just going to imagine if they were in my fridge, which one I would reach for more often. I think number 2.
Okay. So to find out whether the Sambal Lady actually chose my sambal, make sure you watch the video on Spotify or YouTube because that's the only way you'll find out whether she chose my sambal or not.
Tell me.
No, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to watch it yourself. Okay, let's continue on with you introducing the sambal and your brands, your line of products, which, by the way, at the moment now we have...
So there's a hot chili sambal, which is the belacan fermented shrimp paste. Then I have a vegan version of that.
Okay.
Then I have a lime leaf sambal, which is everybody's favorite. I call her my easy child. Don't have to sell her to anyone. She just, she plays well with everybody. She's mild. She's got that incredible makrut lime leaf flavor. In June 2025, we have a 4th sambal coming up. Okay, I won't say what it is yet.
Okay.
And then as far as the spice blends go, we have a rendang, satay, and curry. The satay is the one I'm most proud of. If you got some chicken, some beef, you just marinate that, throw it on the grill, you are in Malaysia. It is the most authentic rendition of satay, I think, that you can get here. Here in the U.S., people will say, oh, here's a satay recipe. And in the marinade, they put peanuts. There are no peanuts in a satay marinade.
No, it's just the sauce.
No.
Yeah.
It's the peanuts come in the sauce that go with it, but there's no peanuts in a satay marinade. So that one comes from my childhood memories of going to a small town called Kajang, which in Malaysia is famous for its satay.
My father's from there.
Really?
Yeah. And the best satay is by the stadium.
Okay, so yeah, that is my of the 3 that are out so far. That one is the one I'm proudest of. The rendang, you will get a rendang pretty close to this, but when I cook rendang at home, I will mortar and pestle the lemongrass, the galangal, the shallots. I will do that because it's me cooking. But that's for people who don't have the time, don't have the sort of the experience with spices and aromatics. So easy. Tear it open, cook it with some coconut milk and your protein, whatever it is, comes out really good. And also in June, we're launching a laksa spice blend. Now, it's hard to imagine a laksa product that is not a paste, but everything is in there. The shallots, the garlic, everything is in there.
Right.
You put it in a pot with oil. You bloom the spices gently. Then you add your stock and your coconut milk. Boom, laksa.
Oh.
And I have worked on it and developed it. And it's, like I say, it's hard to imagine. But the difference between my spice blends and the pastes that are ubiquitous, you find them everywhere.
Yeah.
2 things are in those pastes that you already have at home: water and oil.
Yeah.
Water and oil are in there. So
Which is like, why do I need to give you that?
why
You have
are
that.
you paying
Okay.
for water and oil? You have them in your house.
And the laksa paste is for curry laksa?
Yes.
Okay.
Curry laksa.
Yeah. Because there are a lot of different laksas that...
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, I chose to just call it laksa. I chose to not call it curry laksa, nyonya laksa. Laksa in Malaysia is like pizza in the US. Everywhere you go is a different version of pizza, right? Yeah. There's your deep dish in Chicago. There's your by the slice here in New York.
Thin crust, thick crust, stuffed crust.
So that's laksa in Malaysia is like that. So I just decided I would call it laksa.
Before we go into the challenges introducing Malaysian flavors here, there's something that I have started doing since the episode before you, and this is what I call the Hungry Journal. Okay. So with every guest, I will ask you after the show to leave a question for the next guest. Okay. And I'll ask you the question that was left by the previous guest. Okay. So this question comes from the executive director of Chefs Stopping AAP I Hate. It is a non-profit that it started from protecting and channeling funds to help protect the AAPI community during the Asian hate time. And to now a non-profit that helps everyone by gathering chefs together. Yeah. They have events, they raise funds, and they channel funds directly to people who need it. For example, when we had the LA fires, they helped the LA fires, people who suffered from the LA fires, even if they're not AAPI. So the question is, what is your guilty fast food addiction?
It's a double quarter pounder with cheese from McDonald's. I haven't had one of those in months.
I'm going to say though.
Yeah.
McDonald's?
Yeah.
In America? Yeah. It's different. I think the best McDonald's I've had
is in Malaysia.
I'm not saying where, because McDonald's, you need to pay us. But yeah, so going back to the challenges that you faced. Yes. Starting a business here. Yeah. If someone were to start a business, right? Say me, right? Yeah. What would your advice be based on your challenges?
Okay, so the challenges, they have changed because I started this business in 2013. And now in 2025, it's a new day. You start a business selling Malaysian food, people already know what sambal is. In 2013, when I started making and selling sambal, nobody knew what it was. Nobody wanted it. Nobody cared what it was. In fact, somebody that I was talking to about business, she had a cupcake business in Chicago, and a mutual friend said, talk to this person. They're doing great on Instagram. They're selling hundreds and thousands of cupcakes. They were hired to make cupcakes for Obama's 40th birthday, on and on, big cheese. So I got on the phone with her. This is what she said to me. She said, what is Malaysian food and do I care? She said, and it was very blunt, but I appreciated it because there was a lesson in that for me, right? Do they care? Who cares? Why would anybody care? Like, it's like saying, here's a line of product from Papua New Guinea. Buy this. What is it? I don't know. Why do I want it? Do I care? It was sobering. And I realized then the biggest challenge for me starting this business was it was my job to educate the consumer. It was my job. So I can talk about sambal for days. I have talked about sambal for days. And I'm going to be talking about sambal forever because there's still so much ground to cover. There's still so much ground to cover. So that was the main challenge, was people not knowing what it was and not knowing making them care
what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So in the early days of the business, I used to do the demos in the stores. I had little pieces of bread and I had sambal on it. And this guy walks over and he picks up one of the samples. He's got a toothpick with the sambal on a piece of bread. He goes over to the trash can. He pulls out the toothpick and he flicks the sambal off of it. And he eats the bread and he walks away. And so, that was a moment.
That must have been so painful.
That was a moment. Wow. I don't think painful is the right word. I think it was like eye-opening. Yeah. I don't want this, but if you have some bread, I'll eat it. But I don't want that thing, whatever that is. I don't want that. It's a different day right now. It's 2025. Yeah. We have come a long way. Yeah. Ethnic foods are so on a trajectory in the U.S. right now. It's unstoppable. Our youth are here. They're in college. They're missing the flavors of home. That's only one segment of our consumers. Then there are people who have been watching Anthony Bourdain sit on a rickety stool in Penang eating asam laksa. And they're like, I want that. What is that? Malaysia, there's recognition of Malaysian food as a brand. Could we do more? I absolutely do think we can do more. Unlike the Thai government, which puts a lot of resources into popularizing Thai cuisine and enabling Thai people to open restaurants, giving them the templates for it and helping them with this business, the Malaysian government does nothing.
It's not they don't do nothing, right? I feel that there was a time. So this is a secret that not many people know, and only people who have been in industry long enough abroad will know what the Thai government did. Yeah. And that's why whenever I say Thai food, immediately everyone knows what Thai food is. Yeah. It started off with the government sending out Thai chefs and helping them start businesses around the world. Yes. Because at the end of the day, food is always an introduction to a country.
To a culture,
right?
A country, yes.
And when people eat your food, the next thing they'll be like, oh, where's this country?
Yes.
Right? This will drive the economy because there'll be more tourists. And that's why Thailand is full of tourists all the time. Right? So they did that very rightfully. And the way they did it was brilliant. It's the way the Korean government did with K-pop and K-dramas.
Yes, that's right.
And that's why we're all in love with gochujang now and kimchi and all. We're all traveling to Seoul, right? Yeah. So the Malaysian government, correct me if I'm wrong, Malaysian government, if you're listening, because I know they are big supporters of the show, and I'm very thankful to them. Yeah. But the truth is that we had this thing called the Malaysian Kitchen, where they would send Malaysian chefs on tour. Whether it's to I remember it was to UK, Australia, Abu Dhabi. Yeah. US, I think it was in LA, I'm not sure. Yeah. But it was something so brilliant that we did for quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And it was something that I aspired to do. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I got into the industry, because I was actually an accountant, as soon as I got into the industry, it just disappeared.
Yes. Yeah.
So I, for whatever reason, I salute the Malaysian government for thinking of Malaysian Kitchen. Yeah. And I really, really invite them to restart it, rejuvenate it, bring it back to life, because it does serve a purpose. It does serve a purpose because you are really sending out ambassadors for the country. Yeah. Because our food, I mean, anyone, first thing, what represents Malaysia? Food, people. That's it. Yeah. Right. I know we have so many other things.
The food and the warmth of the people and the hospitality.
That's the first thing, right? Yeah. If anyone's listening, I'm not condemning anyone, but we want to invite you guys, because every Malaysian I've met in the F&B industry abroad always talks about this, the Thai government.
Yes.
So the Thai government, I would love to have more Thai chefs on The Hungry Immigrant. If you want to reach out, Thai government.
Excellent treat.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Amazing.
But so... Yeah. And that will also create less of a hurdle for Malaysians abroad who want to start a business like you. Because if that notion of Malaysian food is already accepted, for you to start a business is so much easier, right?
Yeah. So in 2012, when I started the business, I met the head of MATRADE, Malaysian Trade Association here in New York. And he was a real nice guy. He was like, come see me, bring your products, whatever. So I took my products. At the time, I only had the two sambals, the fermented shrimp paste, the hot chili sambal, and the makrut lime leaf sambal. And I go over to his office and I put it there. And he's looking at it and he goes, what makes this a Malaysian product? I said, me, I make it a Malaysian product. I was born and raised in Malaysia, and this comes from my background, growing up and living in Malaysia. He goes, no, we can't do anything with this. And I said, why? He goes, because my job is I only support Malaysian products that are made in Malaysia. I get it.
Oh,
I get it.
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah.
But somewhere in there is a little short-sightedness. Mm-hmm. Because if I blow up, guess what? Everybody else comes along.
Correct.
A rising tide lifts all boats. Mm-hmm. We all rise together, right? And I'm not saying we need a handout. We need a leg up. We need, help. It's hard to ask for help, especially when it's met with, I can't support this because it's not made in Malaysia. I don't know.
Well, you're made in Malaysia.
I'm made in Malaysia. I'm Malaysian through and through. My entire family brand is still in Malaysia. Wow. I go home to Malaysia twice a year.
And that's helping the Malaysian currency. What's not to like? But rising out of those challenges is something that I believe you have achieved, like really great things, right? To have, there's so many questions I want to ask you, but let me put it down to these two questions. So first of all, if someone decides, oh, I also want to start a sambal product or any product. Let's say someone says, I'm Italian. I want to start a tomato sauce or arrabbiata paste or, you know, how does one go about doing this?
Well, not just in New York City. I think most every place have these kitchen incubators, and their job is to help businesses start. And you go there and you tell them what your idea is, and they'll lay out steps for you to do. So the place that I started out is called the Entrepreneur Space in Queens. I went to her and I said, I have this recipe. How do I start? And she gave me, it was like giving me homework. She was like, okay, do step 1, 2, 3, 4. When you have those done, come back to me. And she laid it all out for me. So you write down your recipe, you standardize your recipe. We're talking about food business, right? Yeah. You write down your recipe, you standardize your recipe. What does standardizing your recipe mean? It means you make it 3 times with the exact same results. You measure everything by the gram. It goes from being a person cooking in a kitchen to science. Very, very precise. And then you have a food business. And then, of course, you register your business. Yeah. You do all those kinds of things. You get all the permits and the licenses. Every state is different. Right. I have a food handler's license and I have a manufacturer's food processing license. Right. Every state is different. So then there's the scientific recipes. Mm-hmm. And then there is the permits and licenses and insurance, and boom, you're in business.
And then you find distribution?
Distribution comes much later. I think you really have to pound the pavement a little bit at first. Right. I was self-delivering cases to stores in New York City.
And how would you convince them to hold your product?
Okay, so my story of selling into my first store. It was Sahadi's, which is an institution in Brooklyn. This store has been around since the 1940s. It's like 3rd generation owners now. They're on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. They are a mecca for food from around the world. Yeah. So I go in there with a jar of my red sambal and I ask one of the guys stocking the shelves, who can I talk to? And he points to the guy. So I go over to him. His name is Bob Sahadi. He's one of the 2nd generation guys. He still works in the store stocking the shelves. So I go over to him and I say, Bob, I have this sambal. It's handmade here in New York City. He takes it and he takes me over to they had one shelf of Asian goods. Right. And they had the Haifeng sambal oleg. Do you know that one? Yeah. It's a plastic jar with the green lid. He goes, how much is this? And I tell him the price. He goes, what? He goes, this one is $2.75. I said, Bob, there's no comparison. This is, mass manufactured. This is handmade. He goes, okay. He goes, come with me. He's walking over. He goes, my niece knows about these things. He's walking and he's taking the 2 jars, the Haifeng Foods and mine. And I said, don't take that one because I already have one foot in the grave if you're taking the other one that's $2.75. Yeah. It's raw. That's raw. Yeah. So then he said, "That's it's okay. I said, she knows. So he takes me over to his niece, Christine, who is like the big boss at Sahadi's, and she opens the jar and she takes a spoon and she goes like this. And I go, wait. I said, it's spicy. Because she was just going to go like this, right? And she goes, I know, don't worry. And she takes it and she goes, we'll try a case. We'll take a case. When can you deliver it? And I was like, oh God, I just made my first sale. Wow. It was, I still know what that feels like. So I said, I'll bring it tomorrow. And I ran out of there before she could change her mind. Wow. And we've still today, 11 years later, they still carry our products on their shelves because anybody can give you a try, but not everybody's going to want to come back to you every time the shelf is empty and order it again and again and again.
Wow. Yeah. So from your first bottle, what is Auria's Malaysian kitchen or your legacy going to be?
My legacy is that we are the first Malaysian brand founded and manufacturing here in the U.S. So I have pioneer status, nobody did it before me.
Yeah.
You know, my mother always used to scold me. She said, why do you always have to reinvent the wheel? Why can't you see how somebody else did and do that? That has never been me. Maybe I'm stubborn. I have blinders on. I can't see what other people have done. But that pioneer status comes with a lot of hardship, breaking ground for food products that nobody's ever heard of before, and reaching people. Brian, I'll tell you that my customers, I love them. I love my customers. There's so many of them that I know because of Instagram. There are Malaysians, Indonesians, Vietnamese, not Thai so much because they have their own things. Singaporean moms, all the Singaporean moms from Singapore ordering my product, sending to their kids who are in college here because they are homesick.
Yeah.
Pandan kaya, hot chili sambal, you know.
Yeah.
And then they come and say, I sent this to my kid. Thank you so much. I love that connection.
Wow.
That connection that I have with so many people that I would never otherwise have a connection. I'm in their kitchens.
So that's already your legacy.
That's my legacy, is that I pioneered this cuisine in these little 8-ounce jars.
Wow.
And they go into everybody's kitchens around the country. And I hope, represent Malaysia in a positive way. Yeah. Because
That's good.
before that, when you talk about Malaysia, what do people remember?
I don't want to say it. But yeah, one of the biggest things is on Netflix, so like go look up. But like, yeah, I think we should be more known for our sambal.
Yeah, that's right. Let's just do the sambal.
Before we close out the show, this is what we call the hungry questions. One dish that tastes like home.
Beef rendang.
Chopsticks, fork and spoon, or hands.
All three.
One ingredient that you can't live without.
Sambal.
Sweet, spicy, salty, or sour. Which is your go-to flavor?
For me, salty.
Most underrated Asian dish in your opinion?
Idli.
Oh. Fusion food, love it or hate it?
That is a very loaded question, actually. To me, there's two kinds of fusion food.
Yeah.
There's the fusion that is Malaysian food that has come over centuries of coexistence of different cultures.
Yeah.
That is the Malaysian food that we know today. There's that fusion, the natural fusion. And then there's a fusion where people just want to make a non-taco. And that I can't, I'm like, no. So I guess I'm somewhere in the middle.
I guess you're talking about evolution, not fusion.
Oh, I see.
Right.
So the first one I'm talking about was evolution.
To me, it's
And the
evolution.
second one is fusion. Would you characterize fusion as
Non-taco.
non-taco? Yeah, no,
No.
I can't.
If you were a dish, what would it be?
I would be a red velvet cake
Because?
because I'm sweet and I'm sweet and sticky and red and
Okay, I get that. I give you that. And one last one before we close out.
okay.
How can anyone who's listening now support your crusade in making Auria's Malaysian kitchen even bigger?
Okay, so the easiest thing is go to the website, auriasmalaysiankitchen.com, and buy the product, share the product, word of mouth. I need word of mouth. Tell all your friends. I love that a lot of people actually give our products as gifts. They are so well received by people who have never tasted Malaysian food before.
With that, I thank you very much, Auria, not only for opening your home to us, for cooking for us. My plate is licin, as we say in Malaysia, which is like there's nothing left. It's squeaky clean. Was amazing food, amazing company. I think this is a friendship that I've made, I hope. And we're always here in New York. And we'll look you up whenever we're here. And I don't know, maybe we'll start. One of the things that I was talking to her off camera is that maybe she can help us come up with a new jingle for the show.
Yeah.
So many things, but amazing stuff that you've done. So much love that I feel from you.
Yeah.
And when you're very far away from home, to hear that someone is thriving with something that we're so proud of, like Malaysia.
Yeah.
I like the sambal.
Yeah.
Truly touches my heart. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, Brian.
Continue on with your amazing work
Thank you.
because like
And the Malaysian government should know, and the Malaysian people should know people like you, because you are speaking on behalf of the Malaysian people abroad with the food that you're sharing with them. So thank you very much for doing that.
Yeah.
With that, I thank everyone who has been listening also. And as usual, I'll invite everyone to keep their plates adventurous and their hearts open. My name is Abang Brian.
Terima kasih and thank you for joining us on another culinary journey. Just by tuning in, you're already helping us to keep our stories, our flavors, and our heritage alive. But the reality is, our culture is fast disappearing. And when we lose it, we lose a part of who we are. So if this episode resonated with you, I have just one small favor to ask. Hit that subscribe button and share this show. Talk about it with your friends, your family, or anyone who loves food, culture, and all the stories that bring us together. Let's keep these traditions alive, not just in history, but in our kitchens, our conversations, and our hearts. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Hungry Immigrant and my personal account at Abang Brian for behind-the-scene moments and extra bites from each episode. I'm Abang Brian, reminding you to always keep your plates adventurous and your hearts open.